everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today we have Paul Barnard from AudienceProject, a company that helps you measure, optimize, and plan your campaigns. Paul has 20 years of experience from working in TV to being a founding member of an ad network, and then on to Visual DNA, who were eventually acquired by Nielsen. Paul, great to have you on, and look forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, first question, could you tell us a bit about the business and what it is you do within the company?
Yeah, for the people that don't know, AudienceProject is a software as a solutions business. We offer independent, comprehensive cross-media measurement, helping advertisers and agencies to optimize and maximize their efficiency of their media spend. In terms of clients, we work with some of the world's largest brands and agencies on a global level, helping them to understand and maximize their media investments. We also work closely with the sales side, helping media owners to understand their audience, their reach, and give them the tools to sell the value of their media more effectively. In terms of my role, I'm the managing director for the UK and Canada. Been here about 2.5 years. I also work across some of our global client initiatives. In terms of my day-to-day, I obviously wear a few hats, but my overarching objective is really to set the go-to-market and commercial strategy and ensure we deliver on those goals.
Amazing. Sounds like quite a wide remit you've got there.
Yeah, ever changing and ever evolving, which is fun.
Nice, very good. And so what are the key features of AudienceProject? I mean, we were talking before we came on the podcast just about what you guys are doing with incremental reach.
Yeah.
But what are the key features that make AudienceProject stand out?
I think there's quite a few, but I think a core strength of ours is really our coverage and connectivity to the ecosystem. So we operate a lot of direct integrations with the majority of key walled gardens, so Amazon, Meta, Netflix, Google, Disney Plus. So we have direct integrations with all of those, which helps us to drive really accurate measurement. And we also have the ability to measure outside of that: open web, digital audio, online video. So we have really comprehensive coverage. Our platform allows our clients to understand how these channels are performing at delivering reach of their intended audience in isolation, but then also at this more total deduplicated reach perspective. And that's what's really important. We're built with digital first in mind, which means we can scale and advance, I think, a lot quicker in line with market requirements. That probably differs from some of our legacy players in the market, which are maybe trying to build solutions on top of tech, which is probably more traditionally built for a more analog world, I suppose. And I think finally, the speed in which we deliver insights is also a really key differentiator. So offering a real-time dashboard, enabling clients to utilize the data, not just at a post-campaign perspective, but also in flight to drive media efficiencies on the fly.
Amazing. So you're feeding campaign data back in while campaign's still live so that teams can make optimizations as they go.
Correct. Yeah.
Really cool. So obviously you guys are basically a company at the forefront of AdTech and Media. You mentioned a few things there, but how are you guys driving innovation right now?
Yeah, I think, AudienceProject is extremely sophisticated, and I think is, really at the bleeding edge of measurement innovation right now. We lean heavily on the WFA's North Star principle for cross-media measurement. And I think it's fair to say we're really the first business to scale this approach, not just in the UK, but on a more international stage as well. I think we're using a combination of large representative panels and a virtual people model, which enables not only extremely accurate measurement, yet kind of a fully privacy safe environment as well. And I think it's fair to say we're breaking new ground on how measurement is carried out. And I think as the ecosystem is increasingly fragmenting, is a term we hear all the time, right? It's really difficult to get a centralized view on how your media is performing. And I think that is a problem that AudienceProject is helping the industry to solve.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a problem that we're faced with every day. I mean, the fragmentation, you say it's maybe it's a bit of a trope, but it's definitely real. I mean, that's what, as a programmatic company, obviously we're faced with lots of different tools, lots of different platforms, lots of different media channels that we can use and access in different ways, and actually pulling that together, that fragmentation, dealing with that is actually a massive challenge. It's awesome that you guys are sort of helping people with that. You mentioned virtual people there. Is that the same as synthetic panels? Is that using AI in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly get onto how we're using AI in a bit more detail, but I think really, there we use large representative panels in each of the markets we operate in, and that is our source of truth, and that is where we're matching exposure to our panelists, and that is what all of our measured is anchored upon. And when we're looking at individual channel measurement, we can do it channel by channel. But when we're looking at cross-media measurement, deduplication, from a privacy perspective and a confidentiality perspective, because a lot of the partnerships we have with the big media owners are walled garden and, by design not to share data. So what we have to do is create this virtual people model, which is a synthetic representation of the online population that we're operating in. And we look at lots of different factors that go into that to make it as accurate as possible. But that in that synthetic population is where we're carrying out the deduplication. And that's what I was referencing earlier about the WFA North Star principle. We're kind of really leaning into that approach to ensure that we can do cross-media measurement at scale. And as I said, in a privacy safe manner.
Amazing. Sounds really interesting. And it kind of leans into the next question, I guess, because I was interested, how do you think AI is going to change the media and ad tech industry over the next few years?
Yeah, I think, again, it's a buzzword that we're hearing all the time at every conference, and, it's dominating schedules and agendas. But, I think there's a few bullet points I would probably call out. I think media will move from after the fact reporting to in-flight decisioning. And we're kind of at that point already, but I think from a media perspective, that's only going to increase. We think the biggest impacts of AI will be on budget allocation and optimization, not just AI creating ad creatives, which, takes up a lot of column inches in the trade press. Buying will become more continuous and probabilistic, less campaign bound, I think is an opinion that we have, and I think humans won't just disappear in those decision cycles, but those decision cycles will get shorter because humans get good at using AI. That's how we feel this is going to go. And if you're thinking about that and how AI is making more and more decisions and powered by humans, then measurement increasingly becomes important to that. So measurement needs to become machine readable, input for AI to consume besides living in a dashboard for humans to look at. So systems need to talk to one another. And I think that's a view that we have, is that our systems need to be plugging into buying units or buying platforms in the future to help make those decisions in real time, essentially. I think independent signals or independent verification is going to become more and more important, because the more automation there is through platforms, the more need there is to have third-party validation before you become too reliant on any one company or algorithm, right? So independent measurement over the top of that is hugely important. And I think explainability becomes a lot more critical as more optimization is happening in black boxes. There needs to be that transparency over the top that can make sense of that.
Definitely very interesting that you're talking about potentially, measurement needs to become machine readable. So I guess AI needs to then understand that. I guess that's been kind of going on for a little while, especially with sort of conversion data and maybe sort of more easily accessible, like on-site data and things like that. But it'd be really interesting to see how you guys eventually plug in. Are you thinking, and do you already actually sort of plug into DSPs and buying platforms at the moment, or is that sort of the future on the roadmap?
I think that's the direction of travel we're definitely looking at. I think at the moment we are extremely efficient at measuring campaigns and giving really valuable insight back to clients. But I think, and we have very close connections with lots of platforms and DSPs where we're bringing that data into the AudienceProject ecosystem. I think the next stage is how we automate that back out, right, and how we can make that data more actionable. And I think that's, like I say, it is definitely a future focus for us.
Very interesting. So on the topic of AI, how are you guys implementing AI in the business and potentially for your clients? And what results are you seeing?
How are we implementing AI? I mean, that's a really big question. I think if we look overarching, we use AI and have been for some time to make kind of expert measurement knowledge accessible at scale. So AI is embedded into our machine learning and the way that we create our data and our results. I think the focus is on reducing the friction in understanding results and deciding what to do next. So how do we expedite those processes and use AI to really move things forward at a quicker pace? We don't think that the AI replaces methodological rigor. I think it just augments the judgment and the more overall velocity that we can offer to our clients. But what we're doing today, like I said, we're structured with our full measurement methodology so AI can retrieve and reason over it. That now powers an AI agent that we have that augments our ability to support customers. I mean, for example, helps to explain why numbers look a certain way or what to do to check or adjust next. I mean, this has really fundamentally kind of made some big changes to how we support our customers today. And I think that's helping us to have higher quality conversations with customers, spending more time on real problem solving as opposed to the nuts and bolts of how to utilize our platform.
That's got to be massive for you guys, right? I mean, because I know I worked with sort of attribution platforms in the past. I mean, even sort of media buying platforms. You do spend quite a lot of your time, I guess, interfacing with the reps from that side, from the tech platform is spent, potentially questioning numbers. Why does this look like that? Is this correct, etc. So basically, you're getting AI to do all of that for you and handle the sort of repetitive queries that your customer services team might get, and then you guys can basically focus on potentially, building better dashboards or getting more insightful data for your clients.
Yeah, correct. And I think, for that to work, there's a lot of work that goes in the background to make sure that the AI has the relevant knowledge and information to support those queries and questions. But yeah, from a customer success perspective, the easier the clients can get this information and the less friction and the easier it is for them to navigate themselves around our tool, the better for them, right? And like I say, it focuses our customer success to really work on the more strategic and valuable things that our clients can obtain and collect from our platform. So yeah, it's been a big change. It's something that's evolving all the time. But yeah, we've seen some really good results from that. If you want me to have a view on where we're coming next as well, or what's coming next in terms of AI.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to move from explaining outcomes to helping customers explore scenarios and decisions. And I think AI is going to help us to do that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how, we're a SaaS business, and it's going to be interesting to see not just at AudienceProject, but at a wider level, how interfaces are changing, right? They're going to become a lot more conversational rather than, a more hierarchical approach to receiving and documenting your campaigns and data. The case of, hey, AudienceProject, tell me how this campaign performed, or hey, AudienceProject, what's my average reach curve, etc. They're the types of the I think fundamental changes that we will see as we evolve into how actually our clients interact with us. So I think that's really exciting. What's coming next?
Definitely. I think we've seen a lot of that coming from different platforms. The move towards, like you say, the conversational UX rather than just the dashboard, or something that would be really exciting. Like you could ask it to build you a dashboard in real time based on the metrics that you want to see. I think it's really interesting to see how that will impact, because obviously we're sort of an intermediate. We're between you guys and potentially the advertiser, for example. But what we found is, like, when you're sending dashboards and reports, quite often that we can monitor if they're being opened or looked at, and the response rate, even when clients ask for that data, is quite low. So they don't actually use the dashboard that you spent ages building them, or look at the report that you spent you ran at like 11 o'clock at night. But if they, again, we are looking and experimenting with sort of taking it to that next level, and then having it going to the advertiser, where they can basically, when they need the data, in the very same manner, I guess we're sort of aggregating you guys and a couple of other platforms as well, but bringing all that together so the advertiser has one interface, again, probably chat based, where they can just ask, hey, how are my campaigns performing? What's, like you say, what's my reach on this campaign, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I think it's also like we're looking at different dashboards for different client types, right, or client stakeholders. So an executive level dashboard where it is very easy to ascertain the top line numbers versus a dashboard for someone who's more operational, that's in the weeds and the nuts and bolts of the campaign setup, right? So how do we make the data as accessible to all the varying levels that these clients need to see it, to make sure, to your point, that people are engaging with the platform and making the most of it.
Definitely. Brilliant. And so, what trends outside of AI? We've talked about AI a lot, but what other trends are you seeing in the space that maybe clients should be aware of?
I think we touched on it while we were chatting before, and maybe at the start of this podcast. But market fragmentation, and I think that explosion of choice, I think, is only going to continue to evolve. Our industry, is always changing and innovating. It's incredibly fast paced, and the technology that we're seeing is opening up doors for so many more options available to advertisers and agencies to place their media, whether that's more recent years digital audio and podcast, in gaming, for example, out of home becoming more and more addressable. It's continually changing and evolving, and I think it's a bit of a kind of a broad kind of issue that I'm talking about here, but I think it's only going to increase. And there are so many opportunities to reach your audience. And as a marketer, I think it's just becoming more and more difficult to actually know where to spend those budgets. So I think that's something that's only going to continue. And again, I think, linking it back to AudienceProject, I suppose that's really what we're focused on doing, making sure we can cover as much of the media plan as possible to give clients that kind of semblance of control and understanding of what's actually working and what's not.
Nice. And so the fragmentation side, and you guys are helping clients deal with that. We get a lot of, obviously, like CTV is an emerging trend, retail media, things like that. Do you guys have like a particular view on those two channels?
Yeah, so CTVs, SVODs continue to go from strength to strength. It'd be really interesting to see recent press news around Warner Brothers, Netflix, and what happens there. So CTV is only going to go from strength to strength. Linear TV, we measure linear TV. We have access to linear TV, and we're able to do deduplication. That varies by market. So we typically work with the JICs in the different territories in various different guises. So, we recently announced our partnership with Médiamétrie in France, where we will be their official cross-media measurement partner, helping them to build out the cross-media measurement solution for that market. So we get access to TV, but we know there's also that linear TV audiences are skewing older and older, and the way that TV is being viewed is changing all the time. And so we're really focused on making sure that we can cover as much of that, for sure.
Very interesting. Yeah. I think what you mentioned there in terms of that transition from linear to CTV, that's happening, right? And that, I think that personally, I'd have thought that would happen sooner. But when you look at, the media consumption graphs, like, linear TV really is now skewing very, very, very old. So I guess that the audience is kind of slowly dying. But you guys are helping with the with incremental reach over and above people's linear TV. If they then activate CTV or, for example, YouTube, etc., you guys will help measure the incremental reach on that, right? And you will help demonstrate the value of that digital.
Absolutely. And I think TV is still hugely valuable medium, right? It drives great ROI. All the results that typically show that TV is still an important medium in the mix. But it's a case now of understanding how linear fits in with these other channels that are available. And we're seeing lots of our clients are, probably more than dipping their toe in, should we say, into these newer areas. However, it's understanding how they complement and compare with one another in helping to drive that particular audience they're looking to reach. So we're now seeing that linear plus digital TV is definitely a standard for the majority of our advertiser clients, but it's also understanding the nuance between those different platforms and which ones are good or are driving the different audiences, their different products they're trying to sell to those various people, which ones are better at hitting those relevant audiences. So, it's quite interesting to see how media plans are changing and evolving over time.
Definitely, yeah. Linear TV still has a place on a lot of plans, I think. In terms of what's coming up for you guys in 2026, what have you guys got in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some grand ambitions. I think, from a market perspective, we've launched. I've been here, like I said, about just under 2.5 years, and we're in kind of 6-7 new markets. So when I started, global expansion is still focused for us at top line. But if we look at actual, the product sets or the evolution of our products, I think full funnel is a real focus for us. Reach and frequency is a really core metric for the industry, and it will continue to be. Understanding effects. Are you being efficient at reaching your target audience? If you're not, then that's opportunity to sell left on the table straight away, right? So 1+ cover reach is still really important and will continue to be. But some of the lines are starting to get blurred now between branding and performance. And I think, many brand channels, as you will know, Gareth, becoming more direct response, enabled, clickable, CTV, interactive, out of home, QR in print, etc. The funnel is starting to blur somewhat, right? So our ambition is to go from, not just being able to accurately show reach and frequency cross channel, but awareness, consideration, conversion, all the way through to outcomes. So, that's going to be a process that we take over the coming year and years ahead, but full funnel is definitely a focus for us. A second focus is probably moving from the moment we're omni-platform. What we really want to get to a point is where we're omni-channel, right? So introducing non-digital mediums such as out-of-home, radio into our cross-media measurement. Essentially, the thinking there is we just need to give our clients the fullest view possible of their working media in isolation and then collectively. So the more channels that we can bring into our measurement solution, the more value we can drive for our clients. So that's a really big focus for us is moving not just into necessarily digital platforms. We're moving into gaming, for example. We can measure out of digital audio, as I've said, podcasts, but how do we move out to those more traditional mediums as well? And then I think the final one would be full cycle is probably key to point out. So, clients want smarter pre-planning more than pure in-flight optimization. At the moment we measure campaigns. We can help clients to optimize those campaigns in flight, take those learnings post-campaign, apply it to media decisions moving forward. But where we want to get to a point is where we can help them to make those decisions before the campaign's gone live using the data that's available to us. So moving to more kind of pre-planning to start with. And then as we evolve, planning must turn into kind of more decision making. So, today we mostly show results, right? But we want to get to a point where we are showing or suggesting budget mixes, expected reach, saturation points, and what if scenarios.
Very good. Yeah, I think that'll be really valuable for advertisers being able to have you guys involved pre-campaign. If they go into a campaign kind of knowing what potentially with a better idea of what's working or what's going to work, obviously that helps the planning process massively, right? Very cool. Okay, so what we do is we finish up the podcast with some quick fire questions. So first of all, your favorite brand in the media or ad tech space, apart from AudienceProject, obviously?
I've always been a big admirer of Permutive and what Joe Root's done over there. I think I spent a lot of time in my career working on the sales side, working with publishers, especially digital or kind of traditional print publishers. And I think what they've done is in the kind of media owner space to help publishers maximize revenues has always been impressive and then very important to make sure that we keep independent journalism live, right? It's more now than ever in the world we live in. So I've always been an admirer of Permutive from afar and the innovation they've taken to the market, for sure.
Very cool. An individual in the space you'd like to give a shout out to, and why?
This is a tough one. There's lots over the 20 years in the industry, right? But I think one shout out definitely would be to my good friend Raj Danda, who we worked together for some time at Visual DNA and through into Nielsen, and he's one of the best commercial people I've ever met, and constant energy and full of ideas. So yeah, special shout out to my good friend Raj, who's now at Snapchat.
Very good. A great place to be as well. Great company that. And the number one lesson you've learnt since starting in the industry?
Be open to change. Don't be scared of change. Embrace it. Take on new challenges, and always take pride in what you do, and that will set you in good stead.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I think I struggle when you said that. I struggle to think of another industry apart from maybe tech that changes quite as quickly as ours. So I think that's a really good one. Brilliant, Paul. Thank you very much for your time. Great having you on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Speak soon.
See you soon.